Hey, I'm Lenman. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the artwork for VFVD20, which is the 20th anniversary edition of Very Fast, Very Dangerous, the second album by Ruben. And it's sort of an expanded edition because it includes all the demos we made 20 years ago. And I was responsible for putting together the artwork with a lot of help, it must be said, from Evan Cotter. So thanks, Evan, at Extra Mile. I wanted to showcase some of the different artwork. I don't just want to slap the original artwork from the first record onto this new version, so I thought let's put some different artwork on it, starting with the cover. The cover is this bizarre sort of armored train that I drew 20 years ago at the same time as I was drawing all the artwork for the singles that came out. You know, Blamethrower had the bike, Keep It To Yourself had the plane, Kick in the Mouth was another train, I think a steam engine. I can't remember what this one was for or why I would have done it. And what's weird is that they took me hours to do. So why would I have spent hours on this piece if it didn't have a specific use in mind? That's a mystery to me. But as it is, there's just this unused piece of art in the archives. And by the archives, I mean a folder in my house. And it did pop up a couple of years ago, actually, when we did the 10th anniversary, so 10 years ago, on the sort of corner sticker for the vinyl, the first ever vinyl of Very Fast, Very Dangerous. And obviously I put it in my book, Skeletons and Skylines, which came out last year, so you can see it there. So if you recognize it, that's where from. The original drawing didn't have the Ruben logo at the bottom, but I added it from a different piece of art to create a rather spiffing cover. I hope you'll agree. And I want it to be a contrast, so it's obviously negative. The original cover was black with a white illustration and white text, so this is the reverse. I think that's pretty cool. And on the back, I used this portrait of the band, which I had traced, because all of these, I must stress that all of these artworks that I created 20 years ago were traced. I do my best work when I'm tracing. I'm actually not a very good lines person. I'm not very good at creating my own original ideas. Lol, hence the albums. But I'm a good tracer, apart from this portrait of the band, which even I don't like. But I traced an image taken by the legendary Scarlet Page, shot by her at a photo shoot, which we'll talk about later, and I put it on the cover of the special coloured vinyl 7-inch of Keep It To Yourself, and I didn't like it. I wasn't happy with it, but we didn't have time to do another one. Like I say, these took me hours and hours, you know, and so we just had to put it on, and it, you know, it's fine. Maybe you bought it, maybe you saw it and was like, that's a bit wonk, and you're right, because it is. But, you know, as the years gone on, I sort of thought, it's not so bad. I quite like it. It's part of history. Let's give it its day. So there it is on the back. And actually, I think it works better on the back as a group shot than the three individual portraits that I put on the back of the 10th anniversary edition, which we'll get to now, because you see there on the back of the 10th anniversary edition, there's the 3 headshots of me and John and Guy. And I think the ones of John and Guy, I'm very proud of those. Again, they're tracings, but I was really pleased with how John and Guy's came out. And then I did mine. The one of me in the middle here I never liked, because I had originally done a portrait of myself taken from a photo that I think my wife must have taken, or maybe John and Guy took it. And you can see that here. The drawing that I did of it matched John's and Guy's much closer in style. But John and Guy didn't like it. They said it doesn't look like you. And the thing is that when you're in a band, everything you do is representing all three people. So regardless of how I felt about that, I went with it, and I was like, okay, fine. And I did, and I probably would have said it more huffily than that, but I said, okay. And so I did another portrait of myself, this time taken from a photo. I think it was a passport photo. Yeah, here it is. It looks like a passport photo to me. It wasn't as good. I didn't like it. And I think maybe it might even be as simple as, like, I'd got different pencils by then, because I had very specific Caran d'Ache pencils that created this nice grainy effect. So when we went back to putting together the artwork for this 20th anniversary edition, I asked them, I said, look, hey, I never liked that portrait. Would you mind if I put the original one in? And they said, yeah, fine, go for it. I'm not sure. I think they'd forgotten why they didn't like it, or maybe they were just being kind. They're quite kind people. I did do a few more bits of artwork with the last little stub of those pencils that I still have. I wrote the VFV20 out, and I did the A, B, and C, and E markers for the vinyl labels, and I did the Extra Mile logo in that same pencil style so everything would match. And I think finally, yeah, I did a couple of stars. I did a sort of a chunkier star and then a thinner, spikier star. So that takes care of all the artwork elements that I created either, 20 years ago or a couple of weeks ago for this release. But there are also a lot of unseen photos. In the inlay, you'll see this nice panoramic photo of the three of us in the studio with Chris Sheldon. And you may think, oh, I've seen that before. It was in the inlay of the 10th anniversary edition. But no, it's a slightly different photograph. And in fact, it's a portmanteau of two different photographs that I stitched together so you would have something new to look at if you decided to double dip on this collection and want it to be worth your time. And below that, there's a photo that I'm not sure anyone's seen of the three of us in the studio with Sam, who recorded the demos, because for me, the most exciting thing about this package is the demos, sides C, E, and F. Although I like sides A and B, the record's good, the demos are more interesting to me. So it's nice to have a photo of, the two sessions. Up the top, we got the album session with Chris, and the bottom, we got the demo session with Sam. Equally important. And so it's nice to have that picture of Sam there. It looks like he's got his eyes closed a bit in the flash. And I don't know what John's doing with his scarf. We used to do a lot of things in order to survive these long sessions. So that's cool. But really, the real prize are the photographs by Scarlett Page, photography legend Scarlett Page, deigned to take some photographs of us, because I think we had mutual pals. She's very amenable anyway. And we had worked with her before in that photo shoot in the snow for Kerrang. Our label pulled a few strings and were like, hey, do you want to spend an afternoon with these dickheads? And she said, if I have to. And so we took a change of clothes, and we just shot all over London. It was a great day, and a lot of the photos that you might recognize of the band of Ruben from this period, me in the stripy shirts with the glasses, and guy with his little hat on. Those were the Scarlett shots, but also we took some suits, and we did some photos of up against a wall. But you will have only seen like maybe 3 or 4 of those. The thing is, you shoot, hundreds and hundreds of photographs in a single session. You're lucky if you come away with 2 or even 1. Cracker that goes in the magazines or goes on your press release. And Anthea from Extra Mile said, look, I found all of Scarlett's contact sheets. In the old days of physical photography, you would develop your negative roll so you could see little thumbnails, and then you could decide from that which ones you were going to blow up. And you can see on these contact sheets the ones which Scarlett has circled with her white pencil to say, oh, that's a good one. And to me, that's really magic to see these. I'd never seen these contact sheets before, and actually before Anthea sent them over to me, the physical contact sheets, I'd never seen any of these photos before, barring the 3 or the 4 that went out on our press releases. So I've done my absolute best, because these are so cool, to include as many of these as I can for you on the 3 sleeves of the 3 discs. So I've tried to cram those photos, as far as looks nice, onto those 3 sleeves so you can ogle them as you're listening to the record. And yet there were still too many that I could fit on, so I actually took one whole sheet of them and made a little poster and mailed it out secretly to all my Patreons. And actually, no one said, hey, I got a weird poster in my mail, so I hope they got there. But if you're a member, a gold or diamond member of my Patreon, you will have got, or you can still get, a little free poster of some unseen photographs of Ruben from that shoot, which I really liked. So that's really the most exciting bit for me, to have seen all those photos that Scarlett made. The last thing to talk about is, of course, the etching on side D, which is that speedometer, which is actually the speedometer from Seb Carey, the bassist from Caretaker's Car. I was like, wow, your speedometer's so cool, let me take a picture. And he was like, what are you talking about? And then the nice Ruben logo there. I think Johnny Lighthands came up with that, the guy that engineered the artwork on the first record. I thought, what could I put on that clean face of the second disc? And I thought this would be a cool sort of portmanteau. So that's all the artwork on VFVD20. And you can pre-order it now from the link below or above, depending on where you're watching this video. It's going to be out on October the 24th, I think. And it's super cool. Thanks for watching. Bye.